story because it's a little long, but I think you'll like it. So, Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive. We're proud to say that they were perfectly normal, thank you very much. They're the last people you'd expect to be involved in anything strange or mysterious because they just didn't hold with such nonsense. Mr. Dursley was the director of a firm called Runnings, which made drills. He was a big, beefy man with hardly any neck, although he did have a very large mustache. Mrs. Dursley was thin and blonde and had nearly twice the usual amount of neck, which came in very handy as she spent much of her time craning over garden fences spying on the neighbors. The Dursleys also had a small son called Dudley, and in their opinion there was no finer boy anywhere. The Dursleys had everything they wanted, but they also had a secret, and it was their greatest fear that somebody would discover it. They didn't think they could bear it if someone found out about the Potters. Mrs. Potter was Mrs. Dursley's sister, although they hadn't seen each other for several years. In fact, Mrs. Dursley pretended that she didn't have a sister. Hold on. Mrs. Dursley pretended that she didn't have a sister, for her sister and her good-for-nothing husband were as un-Dursleyish as it was possible to be. The Dursleys shuddered to think what the neighbors would say if the Potters arrived in the street. The Dursleys knew that the Potters had a small son, too, but they had never seen him. This boy was another good reason for keeping the Potters away. They didn't want Dudley mixing with a child like that. On the cold, gray, dull Tuesday, our story begins. There was nothing about the cloudy sky outside to suggest that anything, or that strange and mysterious things would soon be happening all around the country. Mr. Dursley hummed as he picked out his most boring tie for work, and Mrs. Dursley gossiped away happily as she wrestled a screaming Dudley into his high chair. Nobody noticed a large tawny owl flutter past the window. And that's all I'm going to do, but hopefully it's a good book. Never heard this one. If it's in a book, maybe you guys could.
Is that how significant?